Welcome back, guys. Today we're reading the last chapter of this Spain-sounding book. It has been great. If you haven't watched my channel in the past, go read, go buy this book, or go read, watch the videos that I put out earlier. So it's been great 12 days, I think. Um, so this is going to be the last chapter, sharpening your skills. Before we I think, yeah, this will be the last chapter we'll be doing together. So if you haven't really gone through my channels, just go through it. And let's get to it. I think is so in this chapter we'll be going over what we got in here. Sharpening your skill, what you should be expecting, shifting from persuasion to understanding, shift from product focus to buyer focuses, and investing in a plan your calls, how to use Spain in a call plan, and give yourself a periodic checkup, things like that. All right, let's get to it. Sharpening your skills. This is a call plan that I was hoping to get, and I think this is pretty important. What to expect, right? What bottom line improvement should you expect from developing your Spain skill? The first 1,000 people who trained in those skills average or 17% in their sales results, which is good. Many people have more than double their sales value after learning and practicing the skills and techniques we have described in this field book. A little application of a simple mathematics should warn you that based on the average increase of a 17%, if you see more than double of the sales, there must be some who will be below average or who didn't benefit at all. How do you make sure that you're in a group that gets above average results, right? The bad news is there's no magic formula to give you a cast iron guarantee of better sales result. But the good news is that we have strong evidence showing that if you get three things right, those are very high probability that you will achieve superior result from the method. None of those three things is particularly different, though each requires hard work, persistence, and a shift in perspective. They are get on the buyer side of the table, invest in planning, and give yourself a periodic checkups. That three things will help you master the sales. Okay? Get on the buyer side of the table. Let's see. The one of the hardest shift from many traditional salespeople is to change their thinking so that they stop acting like a seller and instead see the world from buyer's perspective, which is important. When we talk about getting on the buyer side of the table, we don't mean trying to manipulate the buyer by pretending to see something from the buyer's point of view. What we are talking about is a fundamental shift from in perspective. You are you have to abandon the old mentality of the seller and versus buyer. In its place, you must genuinely share the buyer's concern. Okay, specifically, it means that you must shift your thinking to two perspectives, shifting from persuasion to understanding, and shifting from product focus to buyer focus. You want to be on the buyer side, so you have to shift your perspective from persuasion to understanding and from a product focus to a buyer focused conversation. Shifting from persuasion to understanding, which is hard. Traditionally, most salespeople see their primary functions as a persuading. This leads them to argue the merits of their products and to become advocates for their own company and for the service of their offer. What's wrong with the persuasion or advocacy? Simply, it's not perspective that the world's most successful salespeople take, right? From the work from working with many hundreds of top sales in the field as diverse as consulting and chemicals, we found the primary perspective of the top salespeople is understanding rather than persuading. They see the first and foremost responsibility as understanding the world from the buyer's point of view. This perspective has a dramatic impact on how they sell because they really care about what their buyer thinks. They ask more questions than traditional salespeople. They are less inclined to talk prematurely about products and solutions. And because they are sincerely trying to understand their buyer's issues, this communicates to their buyer and they are seen as genuine. What does this do with improving your speaking skills? A whole lot. If you set out to understand, then you are more likely to ask questions, less likely to give a features an advantage, and less likely to jump into too soon of the solution. Also, research suggests that you'll listen better and be more likely to hear the buyer's real needs. A nice illustration of how true this is in practice comes from one of the world's largest telecommunications company. Their sales force was asked to go to a sample of their existing customer and conduct a survey to understand what those customers were doing, how their environment was changing, and what's the issue they are facing. The consultant who had designed the survey emphasized that in order to provide objective data, the sales force should just try to understand those customers better and on no account should use the survey cost to sell, right? In the 3 months of followed, the combined amazements of the consultants, the company's management, and the sales force, there were about 35% increase in the sales to the customer involved in the survey compared to those other customers. The reason was simple, because the survey forced the sales force to really focus on understanding their customer. They uncovered new needs, saw additional productivity opportunities. Even better, customers respond very positively to being understood and invited salespeople back to do more business. Right? An easy way to improve your skills and your sales is to see each call as an opportunity to understand rather than to persuade. Okay? Shift from product focus to buyer focus. One metaphor for the role of the salespeople is that they're a bridge between product and customers. The seller is the connector, the link that brings the buyer and products together. The effect salespeople has to understand both ends of this bridge, to understand on the one side the buyers and the other and their needs, and on the other side the capability of products and services. Which end of the bridge is more important for the sales success? The evidence seems to show that most salespeople are more comfortable and proficient at understanding their product rather than understanding their buyer. Very successful sales have adequate product knowledge but superior knowledge of their customer. Salespeople with the highest product knowledge do not make the most sell. If forced to make a choice, buyers are more likely to deal with those who best understand their needs than with those who better understand their product or services. So if you are a typical salesperson, there's a good chance right now you are planning too much emphasis on the products and services side of the bridge. Shifting your attention to understanding buyer will probably pay off for you in terms of result. This means like keeping up your business and industry trends that affects your buyer, right? Reading current business journals rather than product manuals, having a real curiosity about what's going on inside the buyer's organization, and asking lots of questions about change that have an impact on buyer's operation. A relentless interest in the buyer's business issues has paid off for those who have behaved this way. We once did a study at IBM. Okay, let's jump to investing in planning. I think that's some bullshit. You don't build a house or a factory by starting it and then figuring out what you should be doing as you go along. In fact, there's hardly any complex enterprise that you can compete successfully just by winning it. Successfully execution always rests on successful planning. It won't be necessary to say this about most other professions. Unfortunately, selling stood out as one of the few areas where planning is undervalued or even absent. We are continually amazed how many salespeople don't plan the calls. You have to plan the calls. Yes, I think that's really important. So you have a plan what you're gonna do. So just like I'm running my meeting with the clients, I also have an agenda. You also want to have an agenda. What you want to talk about? What are you going to talk about? How long are you going to talk about? If there's anything the client wants to cover, we also cover that in the call as well. You have your call plan, opportunity plan, and the account plan. The three type of sales plan. The three type of sales plan: call plan, opportunity plan, and account plan. This is important. All right. So plan your calls. Let's move down the level of details. Each opportunity is made up of a number of calls, and each call must be successful for opportunity to be met. Oh, I got it back. Great. So individual sales calls are building blocks out of which opportunities are concentrated, and a series of opportunities must be achieved in order to successfully execute the account plan, right? So our concern is that a few salespeople pay enough attention to planning the humble sales call that are fundamental units making up the account success. If there was just one piece of advice we would give to improve their selling, it's plan your call, plan your call, plan your calls. Okay, worry less about the grand strategies and more about the tactic of each call. Think of an actual sales call you are planning to make in the near future. How clear are you about the objective of the call? Do you know exactly what outcome you hope to achieve? What specific questions do you plan to ask? What planning tools are you using to help you to prepare? If you don't have a good answers to those questions, you probably don't have an adequate call plan. Call planning is the bedrock on which sales strategy is built. Okay? Time and time again in our work, we have seen elegant account strategies fail because the call execution skills just weren't there. We are not saying that strategies are unimportant. Okay? It's crucial to success in major accounts. The problem with that is we have seen over the years is that no strategy is better than capability to execute it, and on an individual call level, execution more often than not lets the strategy down. So what advice would we give you to help your call planning? 3 points. First, plan in advance, then plan what to ask, not to tell. So third, use a planning tool to help you prepare. 3 points to help you improve your sales call. First, plan in advance. Second, plan what to ask, not to tell. Third, use a planning tool to help you to prepare, okay? First, plan in advance, right? Plan in advance. We explain the distinction between advance and continuation in chapter 4. So if you haven't watched our videos, after this one, you go back and you can watch chapter 4, okay? So, like I said, success call, you have an order, advance, right? You have order or advance. A specific action is taken by either party that moves the sales forward. Unsuccessful calls, you have a continuation, no sales. The sales continues, but no specific actions has been agreed upon. Simply enough, that's the distinction is. It's virtually important to successful planning, and even more important is vital to successful selling. One of the difference between a top salesperson and their less successful colleague is that top salesperson are very clear about advance and that are possible from each call, and they set a call objectives based on the highest realistic advance they can achieve. Okay, so you want to set the highest realistic advance they can achieve. So if you want to do that, you want to make in your call, you can intend to make. Okay, so first brainstorm at least 5 possible advances you could make from the call. Check that each advance you list is an action that is realistic and really moves the sales forward. And choose the best advance as your core objective. The best advance is that the one that most moves the sales forward while being realistic and achievable. Finally, choose a fallback objective, a less ambitious advance that still moves the sales forward but will be easier to achieve if your first advance proves unobtainable. Okay. So basically, this is telling you how do you prepare your sales call, right? Last we talk about there are 3 points to improve your sales call, which is first plan in advance, right? Second, then plan what to ask, not to tell. Third, use the planning tool to help you prepare. Now we're talking about how we're planning your call. First, we need to brainstorm at least 5 possible events you could make from the call, right? The second is check that each event you have listed is an action that's realistic and really moves the sales forward. Third is choose the best through those advances as your core objective. Every single call you need to have an objective. What are you going to achieve from this call? The best advance is the one that most moves the sales forward while being realistic and achievable. And finally, choose the fallback objective. Okay, what's the less ambitious advance that still moves the sales forward but would be easier to achieve if your first advance proves unattainable? Right. Let's see an example. New material call on Jeff Love, a buyer at Meta. Now try and plan an advance for your own call. Okay, let's see. Advances, a specific action that moves the sales forward. Set up a meeting with the buyer's VP of manufacturing. Moves, that's a lot, very hard until we have data to present. Is that easily achievable? Yes, maybe. First choice and fallback. All right. The second advance, get the technical people to review the studies on new materials. That's a little impact. Easy. This is their normal procedures. So that might be a fallback. Persuade buyer to visit Ohio test site. It's little, but it's hard. Buyer rarely visits sites. Okay, get their technician units to do laboratory evaluation of the new materials. Moderate, right? Moderate. Lab owes us one for providing pursuit pure checks last year's. Is the first choice. We take their spec and work up a prototype sample. There's a lot of events. If they take your prototype, it means they're more than likely to work with you. It's really hard. It will cost us 40K and Fred will go crazy. All right. If there's no commitment, you don't do a prototype. So one of the characteristics of a very successful salesperson is their ability to think of a wider range of ingenuine advances. Less successful people often find it difficult to think beyond the most obvious ways to move the sales forward. Use this exercise to stretch your thinking and to generate as wide a range of advances as possible. We have asked here for 5, but if you can think of 10, so much better, right? We need to do this, and I don't think I myself alone can do all those myself. I need your help. So if you're doing this, leave your comment down below. I think I need to do this as a homework. Plan what to ask, not to what to tell, okay? Because that's the second. Plan what to ask, not to what to tell. Once you have selected your first choice, your advance, and your fallback, what do you do next? You plan the call itself. It's here that we sometimes play a nasty little trick on the salespeople we're working with before we discuss planning. And without anything warning, we ask them to take a piece of paper and jot down a quick plan for a sales call they intend to make within the next week. We then ask them to call important questions. Do you plan what you're going to tell or what are you going to ask? Almost 80% our victims have planned what they are going to tell. The 20% who have planned what they intend to ask are generally the most experienced and successful members of the group. If you haven't been in one of those groups, what would you have done? Be honest. Would you really have been the 20% who plan to ask questions? Yeah, probably going to ask questions and tell 50-50, I would say. If, like the most people, you plan what you intend to tell, then no wonder it's hard to ask effective questions while you're selling. Remember, plan it or you won't do it. If you want to get the buyer side of the table, you must shift from the persuasion to understanding. Ask questions is the best way to understand your buyer. The secret to ask effective questions lies on the planning them. One way to do this is just to write down a list of questions. That's how many successful salespeople plan and how much. However, an even better way is to use a planning tool. Well, this is selling you using the planning tool. All right. Oh, this is the planning tool. Core objective, which will get an advance, not a continuation. Get a client to schedule a joint proposal planning meeting to review their criteria, situations, any further facts we need. Identify current staff's expertise and capabilities. Find out about the staff changing during the last 12 months and find out about any budget constraints. Technical challenges. Problems that might exist and that we can solve. Implication, okay? Cost of overtime would impact profit margin. Lack of expertise will affect the quality delay in project complication. Could give the market advantage to the competition. Could lead to the staff turnover. Hiring new in-house staff will add to the cost and extend the learning curve. And staff could defect to the competition. Client's reputation could suffer. Explicitly, we hope to develop project to be on time with high quality and within the budget, keep existing staff up to date and happy. Other projects to get done too. Benefits we can then offer is our technical expertise can fill in their gap cost effectively, can support the training existing staff, allows key staff to work on their other projects. Wow, this is crazy good. This is crazy good. I love this. I love this. Now I just need to do this work. How to use it, okay? So advance. Um, Here are some points to help you to get most of the use this form, okay? If you want to use this form, this is pretty important. Advance. It's hard to plan on good questions if you don't know where you want to go, right? So always start by planning an advance that moves the sales forward. Remember that you usually have a choice of advances. Choose that one gives you the best combination of forward movement with ease of achievement. Okay, the more ambitious your advance is in terms of the forward movement, the more important it is to also plan a fallback objective for the call in case your first call advance proves unachievable, right? Situation questions, planning only essential, okay, plan only using essential situation questions that give you information you can't find from other sources. We advise people to plan situation question last. That way they put most of their energy into planning the most powerful question. It's easy to come up with a long list of situation questions that you would like to ask, but doing so won't help yourself, okay? The skill of the planning situation question lies in the reduction your list. Ask yourself whether a situation questions you would like to ask is really essential. If not, if not, practically if you are selling to the senior executive, it's better to leave it out. Problem questions. Plan to uncover at least 3 problems that you can solve with your product or services. By planning a variety of problems, you will have the flexibility to move to the new problem area if the one you first explore turns out to be unproductive. You'll find it easier to plan problem question if you start by identifying the problems area you intend to explore and only think of the questions after you have chosen the areas. So, for example, you first decide that the buyer has a problem in the area of reliability and speed. Once you have chosen those areas, you might plan a question such as, do you find that your present system too slow? How many facilities are you getting? How many failures are you getting? This is really, I don't know, it's like, how many failures are you getting? Concerns? Are they concerns at all? Um, Problem questions. Implication question. Those are the hardest questions to plan. So, but those are the ones where planning has the greatest reward. A single good implication can make the sale. Okay, as a problem question, you should identify the implication areas first and then frame your implication questions. You don't need many implication questions to create impact. A couple of good questions for each problem area will usually be enough. Okay, explicit needs and benefits. Remember that a benefit always meet an explicit needs. So when you plan the benefits you hope to offer, each one first depends on developing an explicit need. It's a good discipline to plan explicit needs and benefits together, because without explicit needs, there will be no benefits. Getting into the habit of using a call planning tool like this, remember that you can't have an effective sales strategy without good talk, without good calls. Planning is worth the effort. There's no other simple thing you can do to improve your selling that compares with systematic call planning. Make it a way of life and see how your result improves. Give yourself a periodic checkup. We all creatures of habit. Even if we have the right skills, even if we worry, we know the correct way. Bad habit creeps in. Get lazy. We take shortcuts and blah 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 blah. When you find blah blah blah. Too many. Okay, I like this one. I think that page is really helpful. This is going to do you're going to review your calls, right? This is an example from one of my own checkup calls. I asked the buyer if I could tape record. Don't be nervous by doing so. Hundreds of salespeople I have worked with using spin checkup tools. This is really helpful. I think I need to use this every time. Every time I have a call, after a call, I'm probably going to say how many situation questions I asked, how many problem questions I asked. So this you'll see where's the implied needs. Do I have any implied needs? Do I have any explicit needs? What are benefits, advantages, and features? How many I said? That will help to really formulate what you're going to ask in the future, right? You see the patterns. When I got home before I played the tape, I reviewed my spin call plan to help me remind of what I was trying to achieve in the call and what questions I had planned to ask. I then played the tape once all the way through without stopping. I asked myself those questions. Did the call go as I had planned it? In particular, did I achieve the advance I hope I had it? Was there anything that went well that might want to remember for a future call? Was there anything less effective than I would have liked it? That's right. Assessing your call. Did the call go as planned? Succeed in getting the plan advanced in an invitation to present a partnering proposal to the general manager at the Paris meeting, but a client lack of interest in the follow-up to the two-tier program surprised me. Perhaps I should have tried for a more aggressive advance like a European pilot. What went well? Useful discussions on the market segment model. I must remember to use the fuel the engine example in Paris. Good development of the implication around the problem of the consequence of effective executive selling to global accounts. What wasn't effective? Didn't listen well to Jeff's concern about reduction of sales costs. One tip he had said it 3 times and I didn't pick it up. I still don't listen when I get enthusiastic. This is great. Analyze your own call and using this method. I like this. Interpreting your spin checkup. I I asked 13 questions. Is there too many or too little? I don't know. I asked 6 implication questions. Is that good or bad? The answer is that the precise number matters less, much less than the overall pattern. I asked more situation questions than any other type, but that's normal. The overall pattern is a good one. I asked the problem questions 8 times and developed the sum of those problems with the 6 implication questions and 9 needs-payoff questions I asked. Where would I like to improve? 2 areas would be better. This was a complex call, and I could usually useful I could usefully have asked even more implication questions. Another area that could be improved is benefits. I gave 3 benefits, but listen on the tape. I heard an opportunity for at least one more that I missed. So here are typical 4 areas of your spin. The situation, da 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 da. There's no implied needs. We need to ask problem question to become explicit needs or need to pay off questions so that it become benefits, right? When I'm missing something. Very few questions over 0 is expressed, blah, 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 0, right? This is a loss for sure. Lots of features telling you more about a product than the buyer could possibly want. Profit too, just the facts, mama. It's all the facts, no implication or adventure and features. Go to the this is one. Okay, this is the good one. Okay, so hold on back to the answers instead planning to use the implication question. Solution short. In rarely profile, but sometimes we see seller likes the ones who know how to sell but aren't comfortable talking about their product. They ask good questions but don't know the features, benefits, and the advantages of their offering. Improve, work on the product knowledge. So in this chapter, we have gone through the tools of sharpening your selling skills. We suggest you that get on the buyer side of the table, investing in planning, and give yourself a periodic checkup. So this is the end of chapter 12. We're probably not going to work on chapter 13. I think chapter 13 is really working together, get a coach, things like that, role plays, real calls, call planning, two-way coaching actions, be over. So this could be good, but this is the end of the book. Hopefully, you guys get a lot of value from this those recording series. This is my first time doing so. I enjoyed the most. Actually, I think I had improved myself a little bit throughout the time. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go through this one more time myself and do the homework where needed, and planning my calls and using this planning tool. I think is really helpful, and I'm gonna listen to my own calls with you guys, and then to see what's going on with my calls and do this if it's gonna a pattern series going forward. I think I'm gonna do a call breakdown series for myself and using the spin form. We'll see if I'm able to make any did I make any progress or not. So where the patterns there are. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't, like I said, if you haven't really checked out this book, is really helpful to improve your sales skills. I'm still in the learning stage. So like the last chapter says, teaching others and getting help and helping others is going to help you. Two way of coaching. If you teach somebody and somebody is able to teach you as well, so it's knowledge sharing. I cannot really do this without y'all. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.